Hey guys, welcome back to Motorrad. In this episode, we make a bad decision. Like it's bad. So stay tuned and let's get into this.
We were super excited to get this old 2005 GS 650 back on the road. It looked like all it needed in its life was a little bit of TLC, love and care, and obviously quite a bit of fixing up, but that's what we're about, and we want to get these bikes back on the road. You know, we've got a lot of holes, we've got a lot of damaged parts, broken parts, and our hopes were up until we tried to actually start the vehicle. And by doing so, we realized that there's a bigger problem. But from there, we decided that we can't let this bike break into parts or be sold for parts, so we took it upon ourselves to get this bike sorted out once and for all and give it the love it deserved.
Okay, Menace Riders. So, like I said, in this episode, we make a bad decision. And why is it a bad decision? Well, because that's what we're about, and we want to bring bikes back to life. We realized there's probably a lot more issues with the motor than we had hoped for. We were hoping for a easy start, an easy ride, and a cosmetic job, and bada bing, bada boom, we got a nice bike, and that's not the case with this. You would have seen of how we try to start the vehicle. We had to solder up some wires, tidy up some wires, just so we could try get this thing fired up. I'm hoping and believing that it's the cylinder head gasket on this motorcycle that's gone. All the piston rings have reorientated themselves where they all line up and the gappage is incorrect so badly so that we're forcing the air down. Or there's a lot of wear on the barrel, and between the barrel and the piston there's so much play that the air just goes straight past it and, you know, shoots out oil. Possibilities that I could come up with is piston rings or a bad head gasket. So wherever you could lose compression is basically our reasoning behind it. So if the piston rings are gone, you're losing compression and you're getting the air going into the crankcase. If the cylinder head gasket is gone, we are then obviously getting a breach where on compression stroke, that air that builds up goes directly into a oil journal and is pushing air into the crankcase breather housing. Not happy about it, but I've decided based on the price of a cylinder head gasket, we can get a complete kit head gasket and barrel gasket, cylinder gasket. We can get that all for about £50. And if that fixes our problem, I think for £50 to get the bike running like it should, it deserves a chance to get back on the road, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to time lapse this. Most likely we are going to be removing the engine, so all this knickknacks comes out. We've got to disconnect all the wires, the cable, the throttle cable, the clutch cable. We've got to drain the oil, drain the water. It's a good time to look at those and make sure we're not getting any water in the oil, and just see what sort of oil we're dealing with. Okay guys, so with having said that, we are going to get down to stripping this vehicle. I'll bring you in on key moments. There's just a lot of knickknacks we're going to take out of the way for now, but stay tuned. I'll bring you into the key moments. Like, share, subscribe like I said guys, and I hope you enjoy this video. Key moments in this video: draining the oil. We get to see what's inside there. Hopefully no aluminium bits or metal bits. We're going to open up our oil filler cap. Just that allows displacement of air to go in so that the oil can drain. We go to the bottom. We've got our size 24 ready to go. Let's see what this oil looks like. I hope it's not bad guys. That's a different story. Okay, number one. It doesn't look too bad. Number 2, there is a little bit of metals happening there on the magnetic sump plug. Little bit in there as well, but the oil doesn't look that bad, although the viscosity does feel a bit thin. It does smell like a burny oil, so it's obviously needed a oil change. There we go. We've drained the oil, guys. Size 24.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, Carla. I don't know. There's metal. We don't want metal, but it's 45,000 miles. It's just wear and tear on the shims, Carla.
Yeah, okay. If you say
Wear and tear
so.
on the shims. We can buy shims for cheap, Carla.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay. And just like that, we've got our motor out. Really, again, probably only about a 2 out of 10 to get this job done. Keep track of your parts, keep track of where things go, double check yourself that you've unhooked everything. We realized there was one little earthing strap that we didn't disconnect, and as the motor came down, it sheared the wire, so those things can happen. Again, just keep double checking yourself, guys. Have a look at it. I mean, this bike's getting naked, and there is an old saying that goes that you don't achieve perfection when you're done, you achieve perfection when there's nothing left to strip. And that's where we're going to take this bike, guys. We're going to strip it all the way down so that it can be built perfectly from the beginning, and we can go through every little piece of dirt and mechanical part and that type of thing. So I hope you've liked this episode, guys. My wife and I got it done, and without her help it would have been more difficult, but it would have been doable if I had the right engine or bike stand. It's a 652 cubic centimeter displacement, or cc's, 49.5 horsepower from factory. It's a single cylinder twin spark motor. We've drained the oil, we've drained the liquids. We're obviously going to have some still sitting around. So the first thing we're going to do is get our tappet cover off and turn our motor to top dead center, with our cam lobes pointing outwards, so that we can double check that this is in timing. We're going to be stripping all this off, and we'll bring you in as this covers off, and we'll show you what our camshafts look like for the first time. We're also going to be having a look at them, so let's see what we got here, guys. Enjoy the video. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Build our channel, help us. It costs you nothing. Let's get this done. Alright, guys, 8 bolts later with a M10 on my ratchet, and see what we got. Are you worried, Carla? Yes, guys, we did have a bit of metal on our thumb screw. Gasket looks good. What I mean is, there's no seepage or leakage. Let's have a look at our cam chain. The cam lobes are looking very sweet. It's our exhaust decompressioner. Alright, guys, that's the inside of the motor. We're going to turn it to top dead center and see how our timing marks line up, and make sure that we've got good timing on this motor, and double check our valve clearances with a feeler gauge. So we're now at the point where I want to double check our shim clearances or our valve clearances. The inlet valve clearances should be anything from 0.03 millimeters to 0.11 millimeters. That's the minimum and maximum range, and we are just with a little bit of pressure getting in underneath there. If I go one size up, I can't get in there. If I go one size down, I'm in there. So I've got a clearance of 0.04, which is well within spec on my intake camshaft, and on the exhaust camshaft you need to be within spec of 0.25 millimeters and 0.33 millimeters. I'm pretty sure we got 0.28. That's what we use, so I'll show you here. That's a 0.28 feeler gauge. So the exhaust has got more clearance, and if I get that in there, it's a good solid tight fit, as well as on that side. Happy days. We don't need to adjust our shims. Been eager to want to see what it looks like inside here, so I'm going to press these two chain guards together as we lift it up. Oh, hoping that's the sound of a head gasket cracking loose and we haven't missed a bolt. Let's see what we got, Carlo. We're going to have a bit of oil, we're going to have a bit of water, we're going to have a lot of things happening underneath here. This is the business end of a cylinder head, obviously, so well, it could be leftover liquids. That's our charming chain guard, that's fine, I understand that. There seems to be a problem, eh? Head gasket's not looking too great, but it would have delaminated from the cylinder head, so we might have some. Valves are burning nicely, everything's burning nicely, looking good. We expect it to have a little bit of soot in there. We'll give that all a good clean up. But this gasket doesn't seem great, guys. Let's be honest, the wear on the piston head doesn't look too bad, eh? I mean, a little bit of carbon, but no signs that valves have hit. See the piston? It's either the gasket, guys, or the piston ring orientation. That's sort of where I'm leaning towards right now. So I'm glad we're getting into this. This double gasket doesn't seem the greatest.
It's melted onto the head, man.
It's, yeah.
It's proper on there.
Yeah, this thing was definitely overheated at some point. So we'll have to take off our water pump and just make sure it is spinning around like it should. I mean, we've never run this bike to temp. Hopefully it leaves us with a nice clean surface and we don't have a lot of scraping and cleaning to do. Let's have a look at what's coming. See, that was the piston at top dead center, guys. The piston's now obviously moving down. Okay, let's stop right there and see what our piston slack says. Back and forward. Hold the piston in place, Carla. Oh, I'm pushing it down. It's going down pretty easy, dude. Okay. It's all looking okay. These are also plated barrels, by the way, when BMW built these for a longer life engine, guys. You see all those scratches that are crossing around the cylinder wall. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll put a light on there. That's cross hatching, and this engine doesn't look like it's done 10,000 miles in its life, yet alone 45. Sorry, that's looking awesome. Anyway, the next step, guys, is to get the cylinder off. Once the cylinder is off, we can have a better look at those piston rings. So, cylinder head off. Alright, our cylinder head barrel is off. Our cylinder wall, pretty sure you got a good look in there. Obviously, that's where the piston stops at top dead center. You can see that mark. That's typically where the piston would stop. So it's absolutely normal to have that little bit of carbon build up there. And at the same time, it's pretty dark that side, and it does lighten up here now that I'm looking at it. It lightens up a little bit to this area, so it's showing that, you know, less of an explosion happening here, maybe proving our point that it was escaping. Our cylinder walls are looking cross-hatched. It's like brand new, guys. Again, don't judge the book by its cover. This engine was either redone at some point and they made a mistake with the head gasket installation or the torque settings, and it's now failed. But I'm glad it's looking new, guys. Of conclusion, having a look at this motor, maybe the clocks are wrong. It's showing 45,000 miles on it, but this engine hasn't seen a lot of wear in its life, or it was driven very nicely with regular oil services, which would be a great thing. But don't judge a book by its cover, guys. This engine looks tight from the outside just because of the paint peeling off. That's heat. Anyway, this motor is looking awesome inside. I'm super happy. That piston ring looks like basically brand new. Have a look there, guys. Look how clean that is. Normally you'd suspect to find burn marks on the outside here. That's like brand new. Piston rings look good. I took one out. I tested it in the barrel for gappage. That looks great. Oil rings properly in there with all three pieces of the oil ring spaced out properly. Our compression rings are gapped out, checked out fine. We've got hardly any carbon buildup on the head of the piston, which is a great sign, guys. So conclusion is the only place on the cylinder where we could be building up a positive pressure in our crankcase with regards to oil. This is where our timing chain runs, and obviously that leads directly to your crankcase, and at the closest point to breach is this point here, and being a double layer gasket, it could have had a breach between the two, and under high compression, because this is right at the top, at top dead center, it was pushing air most likely, because that's the only point, anywhere between here or even here, it could breach there, up to there. Air was pushing into the crankcase and pushing out of our rod and causing a low compression for starting, and it's a cylinder head gasket. But once we crack the bolts loose on the cylinder head gasket, we're going to want to replace that, because when you're prying on the cylinder head, you could have breached that gasket, so we're going to have to clean up that gasket, your barrel gasket or cylinder gasket, as well as the cylinder head. But those parts are going to only be with us in the next 2 days or 3. We don't know, we hope sooner, but we're just hoping for the best. Stay tuned for the rebuild once we've got the parts together, but we're going to get this engine tidied up. All right, so like, share, subscribe, guys. I know a lot of you are watching. I know a lot of you like this content. It costs nothing to just press that subscribe button. It costs nothing to press that like button. It will support our channel. We're trying to bring you awesome content. We're trying to get old bikes back on the road, cars back on the road, because we love petrol, we love diesel, we love engines. That's what it's about. Like, share, subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this video. Let's try.